Hi, I'm Mike Nichols, a senior product designer working on the release team. Today's video is to go through a click-through video as part of the experience baseline and recommendation effort that we have ongoing within the user experience department. So a little bit about experience baseline and recommendations. I'll read here. Creating an experience baseline with associated recommendation enables us to identify, scope, and track the effort of addressing usability concerns within a specific workflow. When it's complete, we have the information required to collaborate with product managers on grouping fixes into meaningful iterations and prioritizing user experience related issues. So there's a number of steps that go into this. I won't read through all of this, but the first part of this is about identifying an area of interest and really documenting the experience as it exists today. And that's really what we're going to be doing in today's video, walking through the current experience as it exists today in the product. So let's dive in a little bit more. So I created an issue, and I'll link this issue in the video description below. But what we're going to be talking about today is the release experience baseline relating to deploying the GitLab pages. So the job to be done was identified as, when using a static site generator, I want automatic deployments every time I commit a change so that I can keep my site up to date without manual builds. So what this means is, in the old days with front-end code, a lot of times you would just drop it on a server and there really wasn't a build process or deploy process. But with the advent of static site generators, we've kind of introduced a need for a build process. And GitLab Pages actually lets you automate this process. So you don't have to manually build it every time and upload your assets. You can check in code and have it build on every single commit, which is a huge time saver. So what I've done here is kind of document the experience within this issue, and we'll be walking through a click-through video illustrating this. Okay, so let's dive in. It's worth noting that the experience varies a decent amount based on kind of how you're coming to the project, whether you're starting a new project or you have an existing project. There are some templates available if you're starting a new project, and we'll cover those at the end of the video. For this particular case, it's a project that has already been existing. Let's imagine it's a page that you've been working on, you have ready to go, project has already been set up, you've been using GitLab for it, and you just really want to get it deployed using the Pages feature. And here I'm going to assume that I am familiar with the build process of this. I can build it locally. I do understand the static site generator. In this case, we're using ViewPress, which is not a template that is available currently on GitLab. So as we're doing this, I'll be narrating as if I was a user doing this for the first time, and kind of verbalize my experience as I'm going through here. So looking at this, kind of dropped on the page, and the first step is, I know I have a project here and I want to deploy it, but I'm not really sure where to start. I don't really see a place that indicates how I would do that. I do see I can set up CI/CD, add Kubernetes, but I'm not really seeing a place to start for Pages. So I guess the first step is kind of hunt around and try and figure out how I do that. Looking through projects, groups, activity, milestones, still not seeing anything. Nothing in the sidebar here indicates anything for Pages. In settings, I do see a set for Pages, so let's check that out and see what that gives us. So looking at this page, I'm not really sure what to do now. I see a save button. I see a link to some documentations, and I do see a new domain here. So maybe let's try a new domain, see what that looks like. Doesn't really look like what I'm looking for at this point. I kind of just want to deploy it at this point. I'm not really looking for a new domain. So not really seeing any options here on what to do. So let's check out the documentation, see what we need to do. Okay, so looking at the documentation, GitLab Pages is a feature that allows you to publish static websites directly from your repository. Okay, sounds like what we're looking for. I do see some blocks here. Use any static website generator or plain HTML. Okay, let's check out this link and see where it goes. So I'm a little surprised that it opened up just a link to the image there. I was hoping it was going to bring me to the static generator section. Looks like that's not the case, so let's just keep reading. So reading through the overview, okay, here, how it works. So it looks like to deploy your site, GitLab, use the built-in CI/CD to build your static site and publish GitLab Pages server. The sequence of scripts GitLab runs to accomplish this task is created from the GitLab CI YAML file. It sounds like we need to create a CI YAML file. Okay, getting started. To get started, you can either create a project from scratch or copy an existing project. Well, we already have a project in place, so I'm not really sure if I want to do either one of those. So let's keep reading through here. So I'm now at the bottom of this page and still haven't seen the option that I'm really looking for of an existing project and just adding the CI YAML to it. So let's go back up. Maybe this create a project from scratch. We can skip some steps in the beginning and see what we need to go from. Okay, so we've done that. We've done that. From the project folder, set up CI/CD, choose one of the templates. Okay, so now I feel like we know what we need to do. We need to set up a GitLab CI YAML file. So let's head back over to the repository and see how we can do that. So let's go into the web ID here and see if we can accomplish it using that. Let's create a new file. So it is nice. I see a quick link here to create a GitLab CI YAML file. So let's go ahead and do that. From the documentation, I saw that you can generate this with a template. So let's see if we can find a template to accomplish what we're looking for. So let's see if we can filter and find a template for what we're looking for. So we're using ViewPress. So let's search for, okay, I'm not seeing any results for View, maybe Pages. No, let's just look through the list, see if we can find anything. I did see Gatsby. Gatsby is similar to ViewPress. That might work, but ultimately it looks like I'm gonna need to go back into the documentation and find, figure out how to write this. It's a little frustrating at this point. I was hoping I could just click a button or maybe have an automated template, but it looks like I'm gonna have to really dig into the documentation to figure out how to write this. Luckily, I am aware of a ViewPress example on GitLab. So let's search for that and see if we can just use the YAML file for that. So GitLab Pages ViewPress. Okay, so this looks like what we're looking for. So let's copy and paste this and go from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and commit this and see what happens. Let's stage this, commit it, updated the CI YAML file. That'll work. So I see that my changes have been committed, but I'm not really sure where to go from here. I did just notice that down here in the corner, it's pretty small, but there it looks like there's a pipeline running. Let's click on this link and see where it takes us. Okay, so this is nice. I do see that looks like there's a pipeline in process. It says it's running. Let's click in here and see what's going on. All right, so I'll pause this as it's running, and we'll check back in when it's done. So it looks like the job has succeeded. but I'm not really sure where to go from this point. I do see over here job artifacts. You can download them, or you can browse them. Let's browse them and see what we got. So looks like it has built out what it needs to do, but I really want to see the actual site itself. So let's go back into the pipeline here. I do see a new node here. Before it was just this one, but there's this node. Let's see if we can click on that. Unfortunately, we can't. So maybe let's check back in the settings page to see what is going on there. So I do see a message here. Congratulations, your page is now served under, and we have a link here. So let's click on the link and see where that takes us. So very surprised here to see a 404. I just saw a congratulations message with a link, but we're brought to a page that's a 404. So unfortunately, this doesn't look like it's working. And at this point, I'm honestly a little stuck. I don't really know where to go from here. Now, in doing this before, I do know that it can take up to 30 minutes before a page is actually available the first time you deploy it. So let's pause the video again and let's check back in once the site is available. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's check back in and see if our page is working now. Let's open this in a new tab. Oh, and there we go. Looks like we have the site up and running. So very excited about that. Now let's go and see if we can make an edit and see if this happens automatically from this point. Let's go back into the repository. For this particular ViewPress, let's just go into the docs section here. There's a README that generates the file here. So let's just edit this again with the web ID. Let's just change this title here to Pages Demo. Commit this. Should do a better commit message here, but we'll just leave update README. Commit again. And I see another pipeline here is pending. So let's give this a minute. We'll let it run through and we'll check back on the progress when it's done. Okay, so it looked like our job succeeded here. Let's go back into the pages settings and check out the page again. And here we can see Pages Demo, the edit that we made. So looks like everything's working great at this point. Back on the settings page. Again, I'm not really sure what I can do from this point. It looks like you can force HTTP. I'm not sure if this save is for the entire page or just for this single checkbox here. We could add a new domain. My eye keeps getting drawn to this remove pages section because it's just so bold, but I don't think we want to do that at this point. So I think that's it for what we wanted to walk through as far as a click-through today. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there are some alternate flows, and the experience does vary a lot based on how you set up the project. If you set it up a new project using a template. We do have a number of templates available. So if you create from a template, you can do pages. And the experience largely rises and falls on how well these templates are set up. Some of them are click and go. Some of them do require additional setup. We won't go into all of those today, but just wanted to mention that there are those alternate experiences out there. So overall, I've given this experience a grade of C. Workflow needs improvement, but user can still finish the task. It usually takes longer to complete the task than it should. Users may abandon the process or try again later. To me, this experience largely rises and falls on your experience with editing a GitLab YAML file. If you're familiar with that process, it's pretty straightforward. But if you're not, it's a little bit daunting up front, and it does require a little bit of digging through the documentation. So that's all we really wanted to cover today. From this point, we'll be moving into the recommendations phase. If this is a topic you're interested in, please feel free to leave comments or participate in the attached issue. Thanks for watching.